Smart cities will enable people's lives through technology to be interacting with everything that goes on around them without the necessity of having a device. Whereas these days we're interacting, let me take say a trip into the train station. In the old-fashioned way you'd pick up a ticket, these days we're using a tap and go. But ultimately we could envisage that you would just walk through to the station and it would automatically deduct the money from your account because it would all be connected. Australia is really early days on the smart city story. If I look at the global scene, we're probably a little bit behind in a number of areas, but there are additional challenges with Australia. You know, it's a big country. We've got 5-6 major cities, whereas in a much denser population, it's much easier to roll out some form of proof of concept and then productionize it very quickly. A data center is where all the compute, storage, and the thinking goes on behind all the data that we produce. If you don't have a data center, no technology works. That's where all the data is stored. And all the data that is being communicated requires 3 things to make it work. You need power, because without power nothing works. You need connectivity, because you can't talk to each other. And you need to ensure that the security, both physical and cyber, is secure so that we don't have a breach. So what will the data center of 2025 look like? Well, cloud is going to continue to grow, we believe. And the amount of data that is stored in the cloud in 2025, the equivalent amount of data will be stored at the edge where the customer is using it. That means there's a huge amount of data, and that's going to be a lot of small, medium, large size data centers where the customer wants them. So what Vertiv is doing and the way we're working is that we believe is that we're going to go down a hybrid IT route. So you'll have cloud data centers, you'll have on-premise data centers, you'll have edge data centers. They'll be dotted around all over the place. We don't see that at this point in time. We did a study to try and break down this edge. Edge is big, edge is in many different forms. And we try to simplify it by putting it into 4 groups. Data intensive, human latency intensive, in other words, that when we want something, we want it quick. Machine to machine, so manufacturing type applications, maybe transportation, and life critical. In other words, someone's life could be at stake if that data is not there available and needing to make a quick decision. So what that means is that we believe a hybrid IT environment will exist. There'll be some cloud, there'll be some on-premise, there'll be some data center at that locality. That's where we believe Vertiv is helping in this area. We're probably one of the only companies that are able to do the full suite. The key challenges right now are probably they're going to be actually interoperability. There are multiple platforms out there addressing multiple aspects of what the smart city will look like. So just to give a couple of examples, transportation. An autonomous vehicle will be truly what it is. It will just work. You'll be talking to the roadside. It'll have to understand traffic management, and if humans are allowed to drive on the same road, it's going to have to understand what humans are doing. And then of course we have pedestrians crossing roads. So all of the various different platforms that are managing that will need to be able to talk to each other, because if they don't, then there could be a life critical event. Industry has a role of educating government organizations, associations and people about the technology that they're providing. And I believe that we have a social responsibility to make sure that's all done right and done ethically. Most of the smart city projects that Vertiv have been involved in have been base level data centers in cities. So Sunshine Coast, their council decided would be a good idea, and I agree with them, to take a spur off the Guam to Sydney cable and pipe it straight into the Sunshine Coast. So what they're looking to do is to build their local economy, and what we built was the cable landing station and the data centers that are associated with it. I'll quote one of our CTO friends in one council. He required about 3 production racks, and he built a data center of 6 racks, expandable to 10. And his words were, "I don't know what I'm going to use it for in 2 or 3 years' time, but I know I'm going to need it." So he's built in a future-proof system, because we don't really know where smart cities are going to take us. And the last thing that they want to do is to put in infrastructure after the event, because invariably it doesn't get done properly or fast enough.